Hey guys, driving out here in the garden. So I did a video some time ago about using 1/4-inch drip line for my irrigation, and it's now been 3 years in use and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's marvelous. It gets the water right where I need it. Doesn't spray it all over the place in general. And it's, even though I bury it, you can see here that I bury the line underneath the mulch, and so even though I bury it, it actually still works, which I'm just thrilled by. So this year I'm going to go through and find any of the ones that may actually be clogged, but last year they were fine. I haven't done an assessment this year, so it's basically once a year I go through and I assess to make sure that all of the little individual drips, emitters on these lines are actually working. But what I set this system up here, you can see I run it along the line here. You can see I've got, basically I did a square foot grid. So I divided this bed, which is a little less than 8 feet by 9, to give me 8 individual lines. And then they're 6 inches apart. Each emitter is 6 inches apart. So this is a square foot grid, and so I use my irrigation line to tell me where to plant things. So it's worked out really well. I love it. But there were some problems with it. So when I'm putting in my new beds, I am fixing all of those issues, and we'll see. Not that there's a lot of issues, but there's a few. So one of them, you can see I've got my line, the primary line, running up the side of the bed, and then it goes down, and the actual line itself is down in there somewhere. So I come up and I go over to the side of the bed, and I use these little hooks there, the one side of the one hole straps or whatever they're called, to keep my plastic line where I want it, which works great. However, I end up walking all over the sides of my bed, especially these little guys back here, because these are 3 feet deep, and trying to get to the back of this by just standing on one side is just a little too much. So I'll put my feet on the opposite side and lean over and work on it that way, which means I'm trampling all over my line. So far that hasn't been a problem in terms of it's not broken anything or whatnot, but it's just irritating. So one thing I needed to fix was not putting the line up the side of the bed like this. The other problem I have, which is actually a bigger problem for me, is that here you can see I've tried to fix the problem with some silicone there, is I've punched a hole in this line, and I mean, every now and then the little emitter there will actually plug the hole and not leak, but many of them do leak. And so they're not only leaking, they're leaking all over the wood sides of the bed. They're not getting in, that water's not getting into the dirt. It's getting into the side and spilling down the outside of it, which is not helpful to the plants. So those are the 2 biggest issues that I've had with this particular way that I've done it. So in my new beds, let's take you over to the new beds here, and I'm still in the process of putting them in, all of them, but I have put the first couple of beds in. But here we go. So you can definitely tell I have now put the main line, the distribution line, up the center of the bed, not on the edges. So I can walk all around the edges of the beds, and I can easily avoid that one spot. That's not a problem. The entire length is a bit more difficult. I'm gonna hop up here and walk along the edge here and back down, and then you can see what I've done on this side is that hose is on the outside edge, so when I step on any side, I'm fine. So that's nice. But the bigger one is that I now have divided my drip emitter line so that way, if if there is a leak at this juncture, right there, that it will drip into the bed, and that's fine. And because it's in the middle of the bed, any drips, and because of the slope of the land, the water will slowly work its way down the beds. So that might not help this side, but it will certainly help that side. So I'm fine with that. The unexpected consequence here is that I actually got 2 additional drip emitters in each row because of doing it this way. So I have, let's see, there's a drip emitter there, 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches. So now I have 4 drip emitters here, 4 drip emitters there. So there's 8 drip emitters as opposed to 7 drip emitters in the other one. So I got one extra drip emitter, but they're right on the edge. So this will actually water these beds really nicely, and because the beds are watered the way that they are, the soil itself will remain alive and vibrant and not dry out, except for underneath the plants. So that has me very excited to see where this goes, if this works. It should work even better than the previous one, and like that one, for example, is already plugged in and working, and it works great. There's a couple of things I still have to fix. That solution doesn't work too well because the water is dripping out at the end there, so it's not crimped tight enough. So I've got to figure out how do I fix that problem. That's not a biggie. And then there's a couple of and you can see one of the differences. This is the original way that I put these in, and you can see they are exactly opposite each other. That means that little sharp point is touching each other in here. And in some cases, that is leaving, because of just the way that it's shaking out, it's leaving a larger gap in that little hole, and so it's spraying more than it needs to. So I got to go in and there's like 3 of them that are doing that. So I got to pull them out, move the little connector, and plug the old hole. So that'll fix that. But I resolved that issue in this one, which is the more recent one, and you can see that they are offset just enough, so that way the point here and then the point there, they don't touch each other, they're not clashing with each other. I can then go through any ones that are leaking too badly. I can go through and wiggle around the connector part and get it working. I get the leak plugged reasonably well. So anyway, that's where we are. Those are the lessons learned. I'm again really happy with this 1/4 inch drip line for garden irrigation, the way that I've done it. So yeah, there we go. You guys keep having fun in your gardens. Bye.